Welcome to the Service Marketing Podcast. Today's episode is going to be the blueprint on how to take your paintless tent repair business from zero to hero, from $0 to over $200,000 a month, and maybe even a multi-million-dollar exit. Hey, how you doing? I'm Brian Jump. Welcome to the Service Marketing Podcast. It is a wonderful and glorious February 15th, the day after Love Day. And I hope you guys had some fun with your family, friends, loved ones, small little critters, whatever, however, whomever, whatever you do. What did we do? We went out to a nice little restaurant. We actually did the professional Valentine's move, which is don't go out Valentine's, because that's when the amateurs go out. Sorry if you take offense to that. We went out Friday, so that also means we're cheap. And so that we don't do the prefix menu and all that fun stuff. But it was fun. We had a good time. Farmhouse restaurant in Newport. Good food, cute place. Kind of more of a little girly, if you don't mind me saying. But it was fun. Good food. The service was just okay. You're probably thinking this Brian guy is probably demanding. I am. I'd like to have my water refilled when I suck it down because I'm thirsty. Like cold drinks, when the wife gets her glass of wine, the wine was cold, but the glass wasn't. It's like, little things, right? Who cares? I do. But yeah, had a good Valentine's, but that's probably not why you tuned in. A little bit about me. Why should you be listening to all this banter and rhetoric? 34 years and counting. Thank the good man or woman, whatever is responsible, whomever, however. But I'm thankful to have that opportunity to keep serving tens of millions of dollars of, I've walked the walk, I've talked the talk, I've tripped the trip. So it's, like I said, I have a little bit to offer, and I'll share my trials, my tribulations, I'll share it all. The wins and losses, the W's and the L's, as I like to say. Let's get right after it. So today I like today's podcast. I like them all, but I like this one especially because we're going to talk about how we can help a business go from zero to basically hero. So you have a business that, let's just say you haven't even started out and you're just kind of you're on AI, you're talking to the LLMs, you and Gemini are just spitballing back and forth, a little felch fest, if you will. Yeah, I did say it. Or maybe you've already got a business and you're kind of landlocked at 10 or 20 grand a month and you're like, man, how can I level up? Well, this is about ascension. This is about how you can level up by doing certain things. There are other paths. I'm going to give you one path, but we're going to talk basically about how to go from zero, a couple $100 grand a month, and also exit 2 million and up. And it's simple. This is the best way to put it, but it's not easy. How's that? In other words, you're going to have roadblocks. You're going to have to take workarounds. There's going to be streets paved with closed for construction, and you got to find a workaround. No matter what the path is, right? For example, let's say you're in all the stuff that I'm going to go through here in the next 15, 20 minutes. Let's say you one of the steps is hiring. And let's say you hire a bad seed. Well, hiring is a skill. And within hiring is also knowing how to fire. Hopefully nobody back in the back heard me. You're fired. And that's important. And knowing when and how quick, and picking the right people, screening the right people, and knowing the right stuff. That is one of the skills. And the dirt road means if you've hired the wrong one or two or three, getting right back up again, dusting off getting the egg off your face, the dust off your shoulders, if you will. This was a big dance move back in the 80s. I don't know if you knew that. Pretty weak, huh? As well as the lawnmower. Lawnmower was not weak. Lawnmower was good. You'd pull that cord and twist those hips. Such a strong move. Talk about getting the girls. Dirt road, that's the thing. So this blueprint, if you will, is not going to be foolproof. I am a fool occasionally, and therefore it's not foolproof. But I was going to say that. At the end of the day, it is one way to ascend into financial freedom. I want to get into it. Let's get rocking, all right? Everybody good? Ready to go? I've got a new little toy here. This is going to help signify the start of the episode. We don't need to talk about Vadim, what he had to do last Thursday. You ready? Here's the new sound. Love it. All right, so how to go from zero per month to 200,000 per month. With it, and like the frosting on the cake, $2 million exit. And what this is, guys, this is skill stacking. An OMB, Old Man Brian. I'm constantly still learning new skills. And the idea is to build them in a direction. The bricks may not fit perfectly. You may learn one that you're not going to need until later down the road. And maybe you've already learned one that is not even going to help at all. But at the end of the day, try to pick the right skills to learn, stack them, and then you can ascend right past through financial freedom. So today we're talking about a paintless dent repair business. That's what I own and have owned. It's what I definitely know a lot about. I talk about hairstyling and the styling business because I've been around friends and of course family. My wife, my son does it, and have helped them out and learned just by proxy. And that's how I can speak to those businesses. I have friends that own landscape, hardscaping businesses. I got friends that have plumbing business, on and on, lots of service. And I know other body shops. So, and our paintless dent repair business has transitioned, from him to her to she to it or whatever, to a full-blown body shop. So I can speak to all this stuff with experience. That's how I kind of not only know that skills stacking is important, but it's the act of which skills, right? And also the hierarchy if you really want to do it right. Save time. Step one, we're going to talk about the blueprint. So let's say you've got a PDR business, paintless dent repair. You're thinking, you know what? I want to be a much better tech. I want to learn how to take out extraordinary damage. So I'm going to go take an advanced skills seminar, right? How much more is that going to make you? And maybe you already understand how to take out larger damage, but maybe you want to be like the top 1%. How's that going to equate into you making more money? And if so, how much more? Yeah, you can take on bigger paying jobs, of course. That means you can and should make more money. Are those bigger jobs that are better paying jobs going to be the same time allotment or take more time than some of your average jobs? Well, common sense would say bigger job, more time. And by my experience from OMB, this tends to be the latter, the factual. It takes more time. So yeah, you're going to make more money, but you're also going to expend more time. So the net effect to you is minimal. So what am I saying about this skill stack, about picking that one to go to an advanced? I don't think it's really that important. I think later down the road, it could pay some better dividends, or it might just be something that you want to do yet is not really impactful for the business, but just for your personal well-being. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've had podcast episodes out of 900 of them or so now that I talk about being happy and just optimizing for happiness. And yeah, does that translate to dollars? Maybe, maybe not. But at the end of the day, sometimes things in life, we get paid in other ways than just good old, greenbacks. Like I said, this won't move the needle big as far as the advanced skills. Typically, if you went a different direction, and what if you learned how to generate more leads, better leads via digital advertising? I'm talking learning how to run Google search, Google Maps, LSAs, the whole trio, okay? Just because of the opportunity that it's going to enroll. It's just insane. I'm talking, like I said, and you could expand on that. You could not just do Google, you could do Yelp, you could do Facebook, whatever you want to do. Move down the intent ladder. Google's high intent. Google is the yellow pages, like I say, of our times. Some people listening to this may not even know what the heck a yellow page is, and that's fine. That just means you were born before yesterday, just barely maybe. Take the time and learn to generate a lot more money. If you do this and you learn it well, and I'm saying part-time, you could probably be a pretty good digital ad person within 30 days. I mean, if you really immerse yourself on a weekend, Saturday, Sunday, you're going to gather all the intel you need. It's really out there for free if you want to do it, but you can take courses or on Coursera or whatever, or hire a mentor. I mean, but all the information really is free on Google, but it's just how valuable is your time? Do you want to go out and collate all that, or do you want to just go where it's nice and neatly and tidy, put together a nice little package for you where you can just go consume it? That's your choice. As an older individual, my time, since I have less of it left, is more valuable. And even when I was younger, I started learning pretty early on that, time's kind of important. Even when you're young, it kind of is. So what am I saying? I think sometimes it makes more sense just to spend the money instead of going out and trying to find what you need to find out. Because half the time you're going to think you're reading or consuming something, and you're going to realize it's a waste of time. It's not what you needed, or maybe it's even bad information, right? So instead of advanced skills for this PDR technician or people we're talking about, learn digital advertising. This is going to help you scale up from $0 or $10,000 a month easily. I'm going to say triple. I'm gonna say triple your income. So let's say you're at $10,000 a month right now. I'm gonna say you should be at 30. And that's not like an outlier number. That's my experience telling you, if you're not making $30,000 a month and you're a good digital advertising technician now, a good person who understands how to place good ad copy, write good ad copy, you know how to day part, you know how to target, you know how to do radius targeting, you can do demographics, you know how to read reports, you use AI integrated to help you with your ads. You split test, you got a funnel, you know what your website's saying, the communication from the ad into the funnel, you're automatically booking, all this fun stuff, right? If you're not at 30 grand a month, maybe you're in a shitty area, but let's just say you're in a big city, there's no reason, something's wrong. I've just got you to 30 grand with one brick, one skill stack, okay? Now, since this is scalable, in other words, you can run more ads, you can get more leads, more websites, blah, blah, blah. That's scalable, right? What isn't? What's the next step if you want to elevate? Because your time isn't. And let's just say at 30 grand, you're working 8 hours a day, 4 weeks a month, 12 months a year, 365, or maybe you take 1 or 2 days off, 363, you're busting ass. So what's the next step to elevate? What's the next brick? And it's one of the ones that I just talked about earlier, and that is hiring. So you hire, you add more staff because you're bringing in more clients, and you've only got so many octopus arms to help these people out. So guess what? You need more people. Now maybe some of those hours per day you're spending interacting with people, and you could squeeze another hour to 2 hours not doing estimating, not doing other things that are not exactly paint and stain repair. And if that's the case, that's an easy hire. Go hire an admin person, an intake, a delivery person. That person just basically does all the selling and the deliveries, the estimating and all that, and you are just the person who's pushing the metal. You can hire other PDR techs. They are out there. It's a rare skill, as we all in the industry know, and finding a good person is not going to be, you can do it. And that is a skill in itself, hiring. And that's what I talked about earlier. I just talked to one of my old techs who I haven't heard from forever, Juan, out in Arizona. And he helped us do some sales once when we were running a remote hail program out in Iowa, in Davenport, as a matter of fact. And he was running the tent, doing some sales for us at the time, doing some door-to-door, some canvassing, and that was, he did a good job. Juan was very likable cat. The first one was digital marketing. Second one's hiring. Learn to hire. Now, let's say you've procured, not that admin person is going to probably maybe help you make an extra, a couple grand a week. So maybe you can make an extra 5 to 10 grand. So let's say we're at 35, 40. Now you've hired a stone cold killer. You've got yourself another person who can push metal at or near your level, okay? I've got that in Jake. And Jake, I haven't used him for a while because he's been so busy, and I helped him get better and mentored him. But Jake helps us make a lot more money. So let's say you've got yourself a Jake, right? And now you doubled your income again. Maybe you're at 50 to 60 grand a month, okay? That's pretty good. That's $500,000 a year. That's nothing to wink at. So now you're killing it. So you've just learned how to do hiring, okay? And you've learned how to also get more leads via digital marketing. So what's the next step? What's the next brick to stack on your building, your wall of growth to get more ascension, right? So you can get more leads. I mean, that's a never-ending, pretty much no limit. I mean, there is, but there isn't. It depends on your TAM and what you're selling. But for paintless stain repair, you can do a heck of a lot of marketing on Google. There's a strong demand for it, and you can branch out your keywords and all that. So we're not getting into that because this isn't a course episode on how to do digital marketing, right? You can either get more leads, which isn't really going to help because you're bound by your staff, or add more staff. So let's say you get one more person, and let's say now you're 80, 90 grand a month. You've got 2 other hotshot techs. You're paying them well. You guys are 80 to 100, let's say. There's no reason why you can't be that way. And now you're tapped out. You're like, man, I feel like, I'm getting all the leads I can get in my area that Google will carve off to me out of the online auctions. I got my competition who's getting a little bit too, but maybe you own, 20% of the market or something in your large city. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So let's say you're close to 100 grand. Now what do you do? Because you're probably reached your TAM at that point, give or take, for depending on the city you're in, your total addressable market. You've maxed out your labor. Leads, you could probably get more leads, but let's just say you're kind of maxing out on that too. So what's the next opportunity? Let's say you want to get to 150 or 200. Add more services. Add more services. So you can go from 100 to 150 to $200,000 a month. And that's exactly what we did. I didn't get into paintless dent repair to be an auto body manager. Not at all. I got into being an auto body manager because I wanted to make more money, and we had kind of capped out on paintless dent repair. We did it for a while for wholesale, which was great, learned a lot about it, realized it was a race to the bottom, got into retail. It's fantastic, but it is limited. And there's a lot of competition on the smaller stuff because the market's now matured. So what did we learn? Auto body, bumpers, complete paints, scrapes, keys, whatever. We do it all. So the next step after the first one was digital marketing, the second one was hiring, and this next one is basically learning how to be a manager in systems, and then taking that and divide and add more services. Okay, get more diversified. So you stack now. You've got your digital, your hiring, your management with your expanded services. So you should easily be $140,000 to $200,000 a month if you do this right. Now, let's just say you want to get to $500,000 a month. You're like, man, I'm greedy, and I got this hot chick that just she's worth it, but I'm her sugar daddy, or whatever, or I've got a sick mother and she has no insurance and I'm paying for, God forbid, for her treatments or something. This shit happens all the time, right? It's real. The insurance will, you just heard about it, that Dawson's Creek kid died of colon cancer and insurance denied him, and this is a dude that was a lead in a series, and how did they not have enough money, and unfortunately didn't make it, which is just, God rest in peace. But so let's say, back to $500,000. You're more than likely not going to get there with one service. Paintless dent repair, you could do it. You could do it $500,000 in a month. I've seen it done. I've seen it done in just strictly paintless dent repair. I've seen it done at car auctions. I've seen it done with hail. Retail, I've never seen it done, although math-wise, if you had enough techs in a big city or a region, I think you probably could do with probably 5 to 8 locations. You could probably do $500,000. You'd have to be dialed. And it probably had to be a pretty large region, like the Northeast, or I'd have to have all of California, some of Arizona or Nevada. Then yeah, $500,000 not a problem. And when I say all, I just have to have multiple locations. So I'm San Diego, Orange County, LA County, a little bit of IE, maybe Central, or go up to the north a little bit. Even that, I'm sure we could easily hit 500,000 in just PDR, but we got to have a fine tune, and we're going to have a lot of tech, probably 12 to 15 techs to do that. Each tech should be able to grind out 20 to 30,000. Yes, that's 10 techs. That's 10 to 15 techs you're going to need for sure. Doable, but I think there's an easier way. So having your next constraint at your facility where you're doing some minor auto body and you're doing paintless dent repair, and you got your 2 techs and you're doing maybe bumpers or whatever, and you're 150 to 200. Okay, congrats. That's over $1 million a year. But let's say you want to get closer to 5. Your constraint's going to be facilities, just like it is ours. Right? I'm not constrained by people. I'm not constrained by leads. I'm constrained by the space that I have here. I can get more cars here. I have more people. I have people every day and every week that I turn down and say, you can't just drop your car off today. That happens every week, pretty much daily. Hey, I like this price. I want to get going. Can I leave it now? Hear that question? So does my tech, I'm sure, Jeff. No, most of the time, no. If I've got a little gap or somebody rescheduled, you know what? You're in luck. Your timing couldn't be better. Yeah, why not? Pretty rare. So our limiting factor, and yours at this point, more than likely, would be facilities. You will need a second and or third location. Let's say you do that, and let's say you're $80,000 to $100,000 a month, and now you're at $200,000 to $400,000, let's say, depending upon the mix, how you manage it, which is another skill, and you keep the lead flow going, and your techs are on point. You did good hiring. You've got great people. They're vested. You're rewarding them. You're integrating them and treating them like as they should be, as basically part owners of this business. Okay, they're tied to income and all that and performance. What's the next big step? Okay, now you're at $1.5 to $2 million a year. What's your business worth if you sell it? And you don't have to take my word for this. I've already punched it in AI. And on the low end, before you left your one facility, if you're 100 to 120, 80 to 120, really, your business is worth about 2 to 4 million. Capping out about 5 if you really got the right pieces of the puzzle put together. That's some cheddar. That really is Chester's cheddar. That is some coin, isn't it? So 2 million to 4, almost $5 million, you can walk away. Maybe you might have an earn out or something. But if you had your business set up right, this skill stacking, which is only 4 steps effectively, 4 skills you have to learn, 4. None of this is university level. None of this is master's or doctorate. And I'm showing you how to get to $2 to $4 million. What's the time horizon? Assuming that you're already a paintless dent repair tech, this could be 2 to 3 years. It could probably be 1 year if you really were just like Johnny on point. But let's call it minimum 24 months. That is a pretty fast track to $2 million. That's $1 million each year plus what you earned. I mean, come on. You know, that's pretty powerful. And I'm sure a few people, like my grandmother who's listening to this, are probably thinking, that's pie in the sky, Brian. You're full of shit. You know, or no, something's got to be missing here. For simplification and for editing purposes, this has been edited for your TV. You know, we've shortened this program down. We're not going over scientific granularization of every tiny minutia of every step. So yes, I have oversimplified it half of the time to cover all the tidbits, but the main is here. The blueprint, like I promised you, is here. It's right here on this paper that I keep glancing at. Digital ads, hiring. Neither of those are easy. I would say the digital ads is, believe it or not, easier than the hiring. Finding the right person and retaining, especially in paintless dent repair, is not going to be easy, but it's doable. I've done it. I've done it more than once. You can do it. You can do it. What's the trick? Get to know them really well. Hire them slow when you think you've got the right person, and reward them. Give them a piece. You get that 2 million, 3, 4, 5 million, they get a piece of that. They should, if they're with you long enough. There's achievement levels, right? And time, checkpoints they've got to achieve before they get to that golden goose. Digital ads, hiring, managing. I'm not saying it's not even worthwhile to look at. No, you have to have systems. You have to know how to expand into those other services, which ones and at what time. Don't oversimplify that. And then you should have 2 locations minimum. I'm just saying, in which we will. 2 locations solidifies the brand, solidifies the business, and just makes it that much less risky. If you think about it, if you were going to buy it, you got 2 locations. Oh man, that's a PE roll up. That's another buy shop chain maybe picking you up, whatever. That's an easy sell. It really is. You'll probably get an earn out. They'll probably want you to be around for 6, 9, 12, 18 months to make sure the transition's good. Your technicians will hopefully stick around, because without them, it's not going to make it as valuable, is it? So we can get into how to box it up and how to package it for sale. But right now, even without the sale, I've just showed you guys how to make $100,000 to $500,000 a month with the paintless dent repair business. It really is this simple. Off the top of my head, I don't have it listed here. I'm just trying to think of ways to shoot it down. And you should enter all this stuff in if you're interested. If you're actually waxing serious about, oh, you know what? I kind of want to move in that direction. Let me fact check Brian. Please, by all means, enter these numbers in to chat and ask Chat or Claude or Gemini. You pick your poison, right? We're so fortunate to have these tools right now. And ask it to shoot it down, riddle it full of bullets. Give me the negatives as if, you want the worst case scenario and things that could possibly happen that could render this, unsuccessful. And it will. And right now, what I'm thinking on the top of my head is, like we just talked about, people. I think people are the most volatile exponent of this formula. I think that if you don't choose the right people, even if you do choose the right people, redundancy is always a good thing. So if you have people waiting in the wings, and it's not as hard as you might think it is. Once again, I know I sound like I'm oversimplifying it, but I think that there are people out there, if you structure the business right and you make it fun and it's rewarding, you'll have people really well. So you make the place fun, you reward them, they get equity. Nobody else is paying equity. I don't know any paintless and repair companies that are paying equity. So they get an equity position, and you clearly set it out. So that hopefully will minimize, not eliminate, but minimize the volatility with people. What's the next risky point? Well, you got to have a lease that you're allowed to perform the services you're going to perform. That's tricky. Once again, automotive in a big city, that's not on the upward trend. If you've been around the automotive space, it's hard to get good automotive space. And I have a workaround for that. A legal workaround, one that you can keep your lease. Like I talked about, I had another strong tidbit that I didn't want to share about marketing for us that's kind of blowing up. And I've shared it with 2 people reached out, and I gave them the secret sauce. Well, there's secret sauce to facilities for automotive in cities, but I'm not going to share on the podcast because it's too valuable. But once again, for friends of the pod, you know how to reach me. I will share the secret sauce. And I think it's the best way to set this system up, where you can have a business that your landlord's not going to pull the keys from you because you're doing things that some areas just don't want. And that's tricky nowadays. If you've been in automotive, if you're wrenching or you're spraying or whatever, even just simple, good old passive paintless net repair, people aren't always down with it. People as in landlords. If you want to buy the building, do what you want within reason, as long as the zoning is going to cover it. But otherwise, if you're renting, because buying nowadays is just so far-fetched in most areas. Southern California being one of those areas. Florida, Texas, you can still buy, in Midwest. But man, try buying a building here. I mean, you're looking at $3 million up, and then do the math. I mean, it's cray. Besides hiring and facilities, I don't think there's much risk. Yes, you're relying on a third party to get your leads. You're relying mostly on Google. And eggs in one basket. Never liked it. I think everybody should be diversified. I think you should have multiple lead streams for your business. And I'll get into that real quick, and then we're going to wrap this up. Because I think that basically looking at your skill stack and what the business is built on, the foundation, as long as those are strong, it's not going to crumble. It's not going to fall down. So your hiring, probably the most volatile, right? Your facilities, if you play it the right way, it's not volatile, believe it or not. It's pretty stable. You just pay the bills and nobody's going to ask you to leave. So hiring, that's the one. You got to be careful with that. And then we talked about Google. Getting all your leads straight from Google is risky. So what do? How can you get other leads when there's basically only one Yellow Pages version, right? So the best way that I figured out, aside from referrals, and referrals is you should be getting, if you're established for more than a year, you should have almost as many leads coming in from your referrals as from Google. If you're not, that's for another podcast, but that's a red flag right now, I'm telling you. So if you're not one-to-one, half my work is referral, half my work's Google, let's say. Bravo, that's the way it should be, or higher. Some businesses are 100% referral, some are 80, 90. How are they doing that? Do your research. But if you're not at least 50%, there's a problem. Now, aside from referrals in Google, the last thing I'll leave you guys with, this little breadcrumb, this little tart, is we had a great dessert, by the way, at Farmhouse. That chocolate cake, that chocolate ribbon cake with caramel, salted caramel, and oh man, like frozen strawberry. Anyway, this little tart, this little dessert, wholesale, commercial work. We do some Amazon bands. I'm not gonna tell you they're fun, but you can have wholesale work, fleets, if you will. it's pretty endless, if you want that work. And that gets rid of Google. That has nothing really to do with referrals, although they can refer your work. So your Amazon distribution people, your plumbers, your electricians, your cable companies, your telecommunications vehicles out there. It could be public works vehicles like water, fire, police, however you want to slice it. There is so much fleet work out there if you want it. If you don't, sometimes it can be heady. It pays well. I mean, we did this last truck for Amazon. This thing was aircraft. I've never felt metal like this. I swear, I think I'm 10 years further into the grave because of this damn truck, which means I'm already dead. So there it is, guys. Skill stacking is the soup. It is the sauce. Knowing how to just stay the course and navigate. 24 months, $2 to $4 million. If you want to exit or ride this puppy longer, open more locations, get 5 to 10 mil. Who cares? Whatever your goal is. There's recipes in this. If you really want to blow it open, but think way outside of this cubicle, 50 to 100 mil. Totally doable. Totally doable. And I mean, I'm not saying it's not that much harder. I'll tell you what. If you want the 30 to 50 mil, okay, the blueprint for that, text me 949-302-3464. I'll give it to you. It's short and sweet. It's going to take a little bit of work. You're going to have to be a little savvy. It's not going to take a boatload of cash. It's just going to take some boots on the ground. 30 to 50 million dollars. It is not hard to do, especially right now in this time. The time is ripe. So if you happen to be in our industry and you're running a business like I'm talking about, no. There's going to be probably 5 to 15, maybe 20 people that are going to get this amount of money because they're going to realize that this is doable and they're going to do it. And I'm set up for this. I just don't know if I'm hungry for it. I don't know if I need the 30 to 50 mil. I'm happy with like 5 to 10. I really am. But I'm pretty modest. I don't need big money. So there it is. That's it, guys. Love you all.